Hey, welcome back. Um, Black Belt drummer here, Mike Cole Jr. Uh, so I changed out that snare wire. If you guys watched that video, you will have seen the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. The lightning throw off is sometimes like a nightmare to swap anything out on, just because it doesn't use the same tip that like a tension rod, like the tuning lugs use. It uses flathead screws to fasten in place. So you need tools other than a drum key, which is like, I don't know, man. I'm a drummer, and the only tool that I'm really particularly comfortable with is my drum key. I did a little rearranging on my kit as well. I was talking to a gentleman this week uh, at work, and he was telling me that there's a handful of like jazz groups that are hurting for a drummer, and I told them to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to jump in. Tell me what you want to play, and I'll learn it and play it. With that said, I kind of had a little bit of a almost like a ridiculous like fusion kit going on. I had the bongos and everything was kind of arranged weird. So I stripped some of that down, made it more effective for a jazz setting. I think I'll probably go even further if I gig with anybody. I'll probably strip off um, this the Matt Garska stack. I'll probably, not that I don't love that. I don't know what use it would be in a modern jazz setting. I'm sure Matt could do some pretty cool stuff, but I'm not Matt Garska, man. Um, but so that's the reason why my ride is changed, and I moved some cymbals around, and just thinking about potentially playing with some folks um, in a setting that I don't think having a big crazy looking drum set is the vibe. I'll probably move the 13 up to where the 10 is, put the 10 on the shelf. I don't know if I'm going to keep the 16 and shelve the 18, or maybe I'll just go one up, two down. Maybe I'll throw the auxiliary snare next to my hi-hat. I've played a kit like that before too, so maybe, I don't know. If you have opinions, let me know. Throw them in the comments. But it's been a whole another week of everybody freaking out about celebrities and who's gonna snitch and who's going to prison, this and that and the other. And so it's been more of kind of the same. And I won't pretend that I didn't get sucked in and watch some of it. I'm definitely guilty of watching some like 30-minute fake news broadcasts on YouTube. It is entertaining. I can't I can't pretend that it's not. It's fun. Uh, it feels like you're reading a detective novel where you're like guessing, um, guessing the killer. Um, but it's like a real life thing. It's also somewhat relatable because I grew up with um, these artists. So that was the music that we listened to in high school and college. Um, I mean, when I was wrestling, um, like full time wrestling, man, DMX was all up in my headphones before matches. Um, uh, you tell me who's like a harder dude to listen to before you go out to a wrestling match. Um, but short of that, it's really just been a week of shedding and putting together new chops and um, working through some grooves and just you know anybody that's a full time musician knows the drill. You just you spend all of your time. It's like the bodybuilders. They Arnold talked about um, how he considered himself an artist and his body was the canvas. It's kind of the same thing. We're musicians, we're artists, and our instrument is our canvas. And so, like, I would feel like I was doing um, anybody who cares to listen to what I'm saying and playing a disservice if I didn't put the effort into trying to improve my playing and tighten up some of my stuff and clean up some stickings and I was going back through some music theory books. It's the cool part about working in a music store is I have access to like a full library um, of all things music books, from like little kid things to advanced theory concepts and such. So, my outlook and approach to playing music is the same as I have with jujitsu and with and what I did in the military, which is I train. I train like it's an athletic event, man. Like I don't think anything. I look at it the same way. Like people go to the gym and lift weights because they have a goal. They want to be able to lift a certain thing or be a certain size, and I don't see that as any different from practicing, right? Like you're not gonna get um, you're not gonna get hand speed and chops and fluidity and good dynamics. You're not gonna get any of that stuff without putting the work in. The same way you're not gonna get huge without lifting. And like I know already that people will throw out like, well, you could just take steroids, but like that doesn't make you big if you aren't putting the work in. And I think of music the same way, man. Like I have my goals. I know where I want to be, and I know where I am now. And um, and I'm not all the way to the finish line. So I train every day. And if I'm not um, playing, like training, practice pad, like just working on hands and sticking and grip refinement and note articulation and dynamic modulation and stuff like that. That stuff doesn't improve by like hopes and wishes, man. It only improves in a way that you'll notice it improving by consistency in practicing and consistency in studying. And that's another thing that I feel like as drummers, man, we get kind of like this almost like a bad rap. I consider myself a musician, like, which is to say, my job is to serve the music. I'm not. I play the drums. That's my instrument, but I don't like the phrase "I'm a drummer" because a drummer implies to me that um, you're just banging stuff with sticks and making beats, which I don't do. Like I I think that we owe it to the other musicians that we are going to play with or that we are playing with uh, to understand all the trickier concepts, and like you should be able to look at a piece of music and understand it as a musician, man. Like if somebody came up and told you that they are a concert pianist, um, sponsored by like Yamaha or Steinway or something, but they can't read music and they don't practice and um, they just show up. You wouldn't buy it, and it would be the other musicians in whatever that symphony or that orchestra um, playing with that person would be offended. They wouldn't want you to sit in because you're going to be all over the place. Your meter's going to suck. You're going to miss um, all the changes, and you're not going to be able to find your place on the page. That's, man, like, I know I have ADHD, and I certainly like um, zone out if I'm practicing. I don't do it on stage, obviously, because nerves and adrenaline and stuff and the pressure, but like I zone out and I will completely lose the thread of what I was playing. And if you don't understand how to read basic rhythm notation and like understand those like fundamental concepts, it's going to be very difficult to pull off something like that. Like if you are playing for other people and you zone out and or you lose your place, you got to be able to find it again, man. You got to be able to look at your chart and see, you the way that I do it is I look for cues, right? Like I'll listen, um, and I know somewhere on the page will be my cue. Somebody's playing a specific thing, and I know that that's right around whatever bar, and that I can jump back into a piece that way and see. And you can look and see what's coming up, right? Like you look to the sheet and you're like, okay, cool. So this is going to change to that 12/8 feel um, here for 2 bars, and then we're going back to the original feel, like the stuff like that. Um, and aside from not being a complete musician, not understanding that stuff, um, not being able to read specifically, man. Like you should read music. Everybody should read music. It's one of the things like math. It's a universal language. Um, I didn't learn how until I was an adult, like in college, like late high school, college is when I like started to understand um, music, like notation and like intervallic relationships and stuff like that. Um, and I never paid it much mind because my instrument isn't a melodic one. So I never, as a kid, I was very, we're all immature. But as a kid, I just didn't see the value in dedicating time to learning to read. I was like, I could play and I could listen and pick stuff up, but you can play only to some level and then you're done. There's nothing after that because you've learned everything that you can learn without, without the like foundation, the like grasping um, the concepts that make up the art form. Like you wouldn't want a doctor that didn't go to med school because they're missing a big chunk of the knowledge they need to do the thing. And I know that the stakes are much higher when it's a physician versus a musician. And so it's not nearly as important. And I get that you don't have to and nobody's going to make you. I'm just saying we run into conflict with each other as musicians because like there are those of us that take it seriously and care about music and the future of music and care about things like jazz, and I don't want that to fall apart or dissipate because of lack of interest. It's really like beautiful, and I think it's very important, and it's a way for people to creatively communicate all manner of things. And I think it's one of the only music styles really to like come out of the US. And to see that deteriorate and kind of implode on itself is horrifying to think about. But there are those of us that care and take the stuff seriously and read and study and do all of that stuff. And then there are the people that um, look at um, music production and recording and stuff as like a game, as a way to get views on TikTok or what have you. And it's like I have I don't know how to say it. It's like the Akai, the MPC Mini, because I I'm able to compose a piece basic. I'm not, I can't play piano and all that, but I understand how the notes work, so I can put some things together that I can make myself vamps and stuff, so I don't have to use other people's music. But that to me is a tool to better my playing, not like a gimmick to get me, um, I don't know, to some level of fame because I made like some hip hop beats, and that's where we come to like loggerheads in the music community often because of that. Like there's two real distinct attitudes. There's two really distinct attitudes when it comes to music, and one, and they don't play well together. It's very difficult to talk and communicate and interact with folks that don't share your enthusiasm for the art, for the craft, and they look at it as a gimmick, um, and so it's difficult to be kind of a cohesive community. And I see things like the trap jazz stuff that's coming out, um, or that has come out. It's a cool combination. It like marries up jazz, like fusion, bebop style, modern jazz with like the more hip hop infused, like 808, 809 samples and such. And it makes really cool stuff. But like that is uh, is a group of people that are experts in their craft. When you see them playing, they are very skilled and dedicated musicians. They're not. That's not a game to them. Um, and it's very frustrating to be a musician in 2024 sometimes because um, the the art or the landscape has shifted so much, and a lot of it is for the better. Like, think when I was in high school, having my own area to record, and being able to put out my own stuff, that was next to impossible. It required thousands of dollars in gear um, and like a studio space and all of those kinds of things. Whereas now, um, you set up um, your DAW and run your mixing equipment and your microphones through it, and you can produce your own music. That's amazing. It's incredible to have that capability. I never thought that I would be able to record my own music myself. Like, I'm a one-man operation. There's nobody behind that camera. It's on a stand. All of everything, the mixes, the levels, the music, it's all, I do all that. And that is amazing. But the other side of that is that we're losing the connection that we have to music, to our music, because it's the ability to create like beats and stuff, which is the popular music now is all hip hop driven, and the ability to do that is so like ubiquitous that there isn't that like connection to where somebody there, it's not all over. There are some people that would be really, really mad to hear me say that. They're like, no, like they care deeply and their music is a part of their soul, and it's like their life's ambition is to perfect their craft. And that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the folks that that are just looking for clicks, and they couldn't care less about the finer points of music. And like, I know that sounds like super boomery of me, and maybe it is, but it doesn't change the fact that that one of the things that gets us through things is music. Like, the Beatles happened, and everybody kind of rallied around the Beatles, and and then pick bands, right? Like Led Zeppelin, and these guys came after all the like the jazz dudes like Art Blakey and Buddy and all those guys. They set the stage for all that stuff to happen, and it's progressing, and to ignore that and say like, oh, I found an easier way, and you don't have to understand the concepts because there's programs now that'll do it all for you, and you can just buy an arpeggiator and do AI instrumentation, but you don't know, and then who cares? Maybe you put out something that sounds cool, but like it does it really come from you? If I asked you to reproduce that live, would you be able to? In a lot of cases, the answer is no. And that's kind of my thing, is I want everything that I do on camera to be reproducible in person. I don't, like I said, like I don't go back and edit the vocal pieces, and I leave mistakes in, and like, because that's what music is, man. Like, I'm not selling anything to you. I have nothing to sell you. I don't want any of your money. I would love for you to subscribe so I could monetize my channel, but if you don't, then oh well. I'm not going to cry about it, But I'm not selling you anything, so I'm not making an effort to put out a perfect and polished product Whereas if I was recording with a band, I'm not I'm not gonna take risks and leave uh, like weird missed stickings and stuff in the recording. Like that's so crappy and unprofessional. What I am putting out is um, something to be entertained by, something to sit and have it play in the background or watch whatever. If you're watching it on YouTube or you're listening to it while you're driving, that's why I do the talking part. Um, it's fun to try to pick out like because you're you get into something, you're like, dude, that's a cool groove, I like that, and then I'll glitch on a sticking, or I'll whiff on a cymbal or something, and it's like that shit's funny to me, and it gives you something to talk about, like um and you can see the process. You can see that it's like, for those people that are trying to get into playing this instrument, I've been playing this for roughly 35 years. And uh I still booger songs and like whiff and miss my cymbals and miscues, and like it's like part of being a human and making music. And I don't want people to get the wrong impression and think that in order to be a musician you need to be robotically perfect all the time. Like, you don't. I certainly can play time and not deviate and lock in, and that's because I've been doing it for a very long time. But I'm here in my house making videos for people to be entertained by. It's like, I'm not gonna scrub it and make it polished and and like antiseptic, like there's no need for that. It's okay if you see that I dropped a 16th note or a 32nd note or something. Like, that's okay. I'm fine with it. I'm not perfect. If you want to record something and it needs to be perfect, if you're writing a song and we are recording a song that we have made, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be polished, because that is the product. The product of this is me. I'm essentially the product. I'm putting out what I've got so far, like what am I working on? What's going on musically, and what direction is music that I'm listening to heading, and how do I adapt to the changes on the horizon and stuff. And like that's what I'm doing by recording this stuff. I'm not trying to prove that I can play super fast like Estepario. And like, Estepario is a G, man. He puts out his blooper reels and his outtakes and his mess ups and glitches too. And that to me is like, that's what all this is about. It's like, we're all musicians. We're all supposed to be supporting each other and making the world a more beautiful place by way of releasing our art into it. And anything short of that, I feel like, is insulting to the art form. And it bothers me. Anyway, so I'm gonna go play that. Play through this. It's cool. It's a cool, like, groovy, weird hi-hat ride pattern that I came up with. I think it's cool, so I put it in there. Let me know what you think. Remember to be a good human. Um, and also, it's fine to be outraged, but be outraged quietly, please. I'll see you guys next week.